Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're anything like me, you probably feel the constant, exhausting pull of hustle culture. We're just always moving, always preparing for the next big thing, essentially running on coffee and fumes. But today, we're going to take a journey away from all that noise. We're going to explore the profound beauty and, honestly, the hidden science of life's unscripted pauses, what we're calling the silent symphony. So what if the meaning of life isn't found at the finish line, but in the waiting room? It's kind of a provocative question, isn't it? So many of us are completely burned out from this relentless pursuit of milestones, the graduations, the promotions, the perfect relationship. We end up treating the present moment like a waiting room we just have to suffer through to get to the real show. But what if the waiting room is the main event?
Section 1, the Arrival Fallacy. Okay, let's dive right into this by first looking inward at the very neurobiology that traps us in this cycle of endless chasing.
This right here is the main culprit, the arrival fallacy. And the crazy thing is, we're biologically wired to fall right into this trap. See, the neurotransmitter dopamine is frequently called the pleasure molecule, but actually, that's a total myth. Dopamine is the molecule of anticipation. It spikes when we're striving for a reward, not necessarily when we actually get it. And that is exactly why achieving a massive goal often leaves us with this weird, unsettling emptiness rather than lasting joy. You reach the summit, you get your diploma, or you land the promotion, and suddenly you're just standing there wondering, wait, is this it? We get there, the dopamine drops off a cliff, and we immediately start looking for the next mountain to climb.
So how do we combat this? Well, social psychologist Fred Bryant suggests a really powerful shift. We spend so much of our time learning how to cope with the bad things, but we almost entirely neglect savoring the good things. Savoring is an active, conscious process. It's absolutely our best shield against hedonic adaptation. You know, that tendency to just return to our baseline level of happiness no matter what happens. Research proves that actively savoring small daily pleasures, like the smell of your morning coffee or just a kind interaction with a stranger, completely outshines the sporadic spikes of major achievements when it comes to our long-term well-being. The brilliant modernist writer Virginia Woolf actually captured this psychological shift perfectly. She divided life into non-being and moments of being. She called that thick, fuzzy routine of daily chores cotton wool. The commuting, the shopping, the eating, where we are practically sleepwalking. But a moment of being is a sudden, shocking flash of awareness. It's when we pierce right through that cotton wool and actually witness ourselves living. It's the exact moment we wake up to the present.
Section 2, the art of the pause. Let's zoom out from the mind for a second and look at our immediate environment, exploring how visionary artists capture these vital interstitial moments. I absolutely love this quote. It comes from a legendary interview between film critic Roger Ebert and the master animator Hayao Miyazaki. In Western cinema, we often really fear silence. We pack every single frame with dialogue and explosive action. But Miyazaki points out that nonstop action without a pause loses all its meaning. It's just busyness. Cinematic silence isn't just dead air. It creates a necessary structural container. It allows the audience to actually digest and feel deep emotion.
And this concept of intentional emptiness is deeply rooted in Japanese aesthetics. They refer to it as ma or mu. Think of the legendary film director Yasujiro Ozu. He basically revolutionized cinema with his famous pillow shots. These are lingering, static, totally quiet scenes of a landscape or an empty room that don't advance the plot at all. They exist purely to give the audience emotional breathing space. They're basically the cinematic equivalent of a deep exhale.
So the crucial point here is that true observational realism finds profound grace in the mundane. The pioneering street photographer Saul Leiter completely understood this. He didn't go out seeking grand historical events to photograph. Instead, he captured rain-splashed taxis, blurred reflections, just ordinary shadows. He realized that the fragments of our daily routines contain these hidden worlds of beauty, if only we have the discipline to actually linger and to really look at them.
Which brings us to another beautiful philosophy, wabi-sabi. We live in a world that is frankly obsessed with flawless, high-speed perfection. Wabi-sabi is the soothing antidote to all that anxiety. It essentially asks us to embrace the imperfect flow of life. It tells us that the crack in the ceramic bowl or the weathered wood of an old table aren't flaws, they're signs of life. They tell a story. And embracing that imperfection lowers the walls that prevent us from connecting with ourselves and with other people.
The author Annie Dillard went on a famous pilgrimage to Tinker Creek to practice this exact kind of observation, but she emphasized that to see truly, we have to accept our own vulnerability. We have to be willing to observe not just the intricate, peaceful beauty of nature, but also its shocking realities and its horrible fecundity, that relentless, messy cycle of life and growth. To truly witness life, we must be fully present for all of it, both the light and the dark.
Section 3. Embracing liminal spaces. And this brilliantly illustrates our next movement. What happens when we exist entirely in the in-between spaces of our lives?
The truth is, we're always transitioning, and anthropologists have mapped this out beautifully. First, there's separation, where your old identity or role collapses. Then comes the liminal state, which comes from the Latin word for threshold. This is the ambiguous, really disorienting in-between. It's that weird phase where your life is packed in cardboard boxes or you're freshly single and don't quite know what to do with your Saturday mornings. And finally, assimilation, where a new normal forms. When you graduate, when you move, when a relationship ends, you land in that middle liminal state. It feels chaotic, for sure, but that disorientation is entirely valid and incredibly necessary.
In fact, that chaotic threshold can become a magical sandbox for self-authorship. Here are some incredibly practical strategies for what we call liminal creativity. Instead of rushing to the next milestone, explore the edge, embrace the slow transition rather than rushing it, and create liminal rituals in those unscripted pauses, like, journaling on your commute or documenting the changes that happens. Make friends with the fear of the unknown, because when the old rules no longer apply, you have the ultimate freedom to get in the flow and completely reinvent yourself.
Section 4. The Serendipity of Community. Let's move to a macro lens to see how designing connection builds into the very structure of our cities.
Now, you might not realize this, but the best urban planners literally engineer serendipity into our cities. If a city is built purely for efficiency, it just leads to social isolation. But by placing public art near walking paths, planners engineer these friction points that force a shared pause. By building wide, 8-foot sidewalks, they allow for side-by-side lingering. These design elements manufacture the unscripted, incidental interactions that keep us biologically and socially healthy.
And the civic power of this serendipity is highly measurable. Let me share a really surprising statistic from Philadelphia. Researchers found that city blocks that hosted simple, unscripted community events, like an informal block party, saw a measurable 2.5% increase in voter turnout. Literally just by lingering together and sharing unscripted space, people built a foundation of trust that translated directly into civic engagement. It proves that these small moments hold massive power.
Section 5. The Quantum Symphony Within. Finally, let's zoom all the way from the city streets down into the cosmic quantum scale of your own biology.
Your body is not a mechanical machine taking orders from a central commander. It's a holographic symphony. Every single cell holds the pattern for the whole. Take your heart cells, your cardiomyocytes. If you place them in a petri dish, they don't wait for a brain to tell them what to do. They sense the bioelectric rhythm of the cells around them, and they begin to beat together through pure biological resonance. They literally feel their role.
And it gets even more fascinating. Prepare for some awe here. Your DNA isn't just a dead, frozen blueprint of instructions. It is a living, vibrating software program. Scientists have actually measured that living cells actively release tiny, highly organized pulses of light called biophotons. Your DNA is quietly whispering information to the rest of your body through flashes of coherent, laser-like light. You are, quite literally, glowing from the inside out. This leads us to the very edge of modern science. The physicist Roger Penrose proposes a mind-bending idea called the OR theory. It suggests that consciousness isn't just neurons firing like computer switches. Instead, inside the brain's tiny structures called microtubules, infinite quantum possibilities are constantly collapsing into reality. Every moment of awareness you have is a cosmic decision, the universe resolving a field of maybes into the experience of right now, almost like a cosmic camera lens suddenly snapping into focus. This gives us such a beautiful, poetic symmetry between the outer world and your inner mind. The universe outside forms by collapsing quantum potential into solid, permanent things, like stars and mountains and trees. And your inner world works the exact same way, collapsing quantum potential into conscious thought, transient images, and feelings. You are a micro-universe, a perfect mirror of the cosmos.
So, let's bring this all together. From the arrival fallacy in your brain, to the quiet pauses in a Japanese film, to the serendipity of your neighborhood streets, and all the way down to the glowing DNA in your cells, life is a transitional phenomenon. You aren't a static machine that needs to reach a finish line to be happy. You are a fluid, cosmic symphony, constantly playing out in the present moment over and over again.
I'll leave you with this lingering question to consider. How will you observe the silent symphony in your own life today? Stop waiting for the grand finale. The meaning of your life is happening right now, in the unscripted pauses, the messy transitions, and the quiet spaces in between. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope you close your laptop now, look around, and truly savor the incredible moments waiting for you today.